Welcome back to another episode of Uncommon Wealth, the show where we dive into the mindsets, moves, and mechanics behind building generational wealth. Today's guest is Mark Peebles, an accomplished real estate broker, entrepreneur, and business leader with a passion for building high-performing teams and helping people achieve their goals. As the founder of Peebles Group and Navex Realty, Mark has developed a reputation for delivering exceptional results in residential and commercial real estate by combining local market expertise with a personalized client-first approach. Mark's career spans decades of leadership, sales excellence, and community engagement, making him the perfect guest, not only building wealth through real estate, but also creating lasting personal impact in business and personal development. So let's start from the beginning, Mark. Can you share a little bit of your backstory? I mean, how'd the business come to life, and what did those early years really look like for you?
Well, first of all, thank you, John, so much for having me on the show. I'm glad to be a part of it, and I think we're gonna have fun today. So thanks again.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, I am a second generation realtor. So for me, stepping into this business was my dad sitting me down one day in 2006 and saying, "Son, I've built this great business. I've got a great name, but I have no one to pass it on to." And so, sitting there at lunch in a Mexican restaurant in 2006, I told my dad I would go into real estate. And so that was something that I'd never planned on doing, but, I jumped in, feet first, really. I lost my job in pharmaceutical sales just about 2 months later, had already started getting my real estate license, and it was off to the races. I had to perform in real estate. And so, made it through the crash in 2008. That's a long story, a long, painful story, but fast forward in about 2014, my dad and I had been working together, and my dad handed off the reins to lead our team, the Peebles Group. At one point, we got up to about 10 agents, and we were doing well. We were one of the top teams in our entire region. We had actually been, for many, many years, a top 2% performing team. But we weren't satisfied where we were. Ultimately, we went to one of the big national brokerages, and it was about 2019, we were looking around the industry and thinking, man, as a team, we spend so much money just paying our brokerage. And we thought there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to bring more value to agents. And so we made the decision late 2019 that we were going to start our own brokerage, which launched in February of 2020. And I don't know if you remember
Oh,
2020 or not, but
very well.
it was like what did they call it? It was like a global pandemic.
Yeah, really small thing.
Right, really small. Yeah, so we started in 2020, and actually we were very slow to build the company, but man, our real estate business was killing it in 2020, 21 and 22. We were just crushing it. But our team kept getting smaller. So as we were building the brokerage, our team kept getting smaller. So now it's myself, and really my dad still works a little bit. He's 81 years old. He's still very sharp in the mind, but he just doesn't get around so much anymore. So I still get to work with my dad, but just not as much as I used to. And then I have one buyer's agent on the team now, and I've got a stellar contract manager that runs all of our transactions. And then that allows me to focus on what I really love, which is inspiring others to live their best lives and achieve ultimate success. And we do that through the real estate brokerage, through Navex Realty, and then also do some training, coaching, and speaking across the country.
And you have Navex Careers, which is a part of that. Is that right?
Well, Navex Careers, that's like our marketing arm of
Okay.
our company. That's how we market to agents. When I got into this business, I really had a hard time. How are we gonna market Navex Realty? And it was like, you've got the consumer and you have to market to the consumer, but then you've got the agents. And what we decided is consumer is who our agents serve. We were gonna go all in on serving our agents so that they could better serve their clients. And so Navex Careers just became our marketing site to draw agents to the company.
And so now that the business, would you say that the business is operating to scale, or are you still trying to scale?
Oh, no, we're still very much in that scaling phase. So, right now, as it sits today, we're at 120 agents, around 120 agents, but we're growing, right? And so we believe by the end of this year, we should be around 200 agents, and then continue to expand state by state. We're currently in 3 states, which is kind of a strange mix of states, but we're in Ohio, that's our home state, and then we're in South Dakota. We opened an office in Rapid City, South Dakota in 2024, and then, at the end of the year, last year, we opened in Wyoming.
I love those places. Those are all
So
great
do I.
places. Yeah.
So do I. In fact, I'm going, I'll be out in September of this year. I'm going out and I'm gonna be traveling across the state of South Dakota speaking, and our goal is to use that as an opportunity to introduce our brand, to others in the state of South Dakota. But, I mean, how could you not wanna go and visit South Dakota, Wyoming, Colorado? I mean, all of those
You
places are.
bet. God's country.
That's right.
What's one belief about wealth or success that's changed or completely changed for you over the years? I know you got into the business in 2006 and 2019 you made a decision to start your own brokerage. So that's got to shape your mindset. So what's one
Yeah.
belief about wealth or success that's completely changed?
Well, years ago, I got into Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Hmm.
and I'm sure, Robert Kiyosaki, tremendous amount of respect for Robert Kiyosaki and what he's built. I had a rich dad coach. I'd read all of his books, and I went broke. I lost everything. I lost everything on OPM, other people's money.
Hmm.
That was around the time of the crash. It was a really painful time of my life. In that time, when I was in real estate, I was fighting for every deal. In fact, September 15th, of 2008, the day that the market crashed, I was sitting on a client's couch and I was watching, Bear Stearns announce that they were closing or going under, going bankrupt. I saw mortgage companies that were closing. And during that time, I had deals going, but I went 7 months without income in the business. The deals that I had going, every one of them fell apart. In fact,
Hmm.
there were a lot of banks that said, "We don't do that loan anymore." And so during that time, here I am, I'm losing everything. I had been chasing after wealth. I'm very entrepreneurial. I'd started all kinds of businesses along with my real estate, but I'd kind of failed at everything. And it was at that time that, I developed my personal vision, which is to leave a legacy spiritually and financially that will impact the generations of my family. And that spiritual piece, that's my faith, and I want to pass my faith on to the future generations of my family. But then on that financial side, leaving a financial legacy, I want to leave an inheritance to my children's children. In the book of Proverbs, it talks about a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. But I realized at that time that everything I have is not my own. And so I want to be a good steward of what I have. And I want to build wealth, but I want to live life with a philosophy that I still preach today, and that is living life with open hands. I want to be generous with what I have. And you know what I found in my career, that as I'm generous, as I'm open-handed with people, as I help others with what I have to offer, or as I'm generous financially, I never run out of clients. I never run out of agents coming to me for help. And financially, we've always been able to make it because of that. And so when you talk about wealth, that's really what I feel like wealth is understanding that what I have is not my own. But if I'm generous with what I do have, I'll never run out.
So we can just skip right to the meat of the conversation because that's you already hit the nail on the head in terms of where I want the conversation to ultimately lead to. Leaving legacy and wealth is, obviously it's up to interpretation of what that is. And the majority of the people that I talk to, it's not about the money, right? The money
Right.
is an important
Right.
part of it, but leaving your faith as an inheritance, leaving, how to treat people, how to act, doing good things for people, that's also a legacy, that will be remembered from time and time as it goes on. So my question is, you know, specifically to that point, what's one thing you've put in place to protect what you're building? Right? You talked about you lost it all in 2008 and you're rebuilding it and have built quite a bit back up. What are you going to do now that's different going forward, knowing what you knew back then?
Yeah, first off, I'm a lot more cautious with debt that I take on. Now, that's not to say that we haven't taken on debt to build. I mean, I think in today's world, you do need to take on a little bit of debt to make it. Um, However, we're much more responsible with what we take on. The other thing, though, is that I don't put all my eggs in one basket. We have really focused on the last many years on spreading things out. So, if the real estate market tanks tomorrow and my real estate business were to go away, I still sell,
Right.
right? So I'm still out selling. I love selling. I love helping clients. But if that goes away tomorrow, I still have a brokerage that generates revenue. And then this next piece that we're launching is, we have an online program we're about to launch to help agents, and then a coaching program. So what we're doing is we are building the multiple streams of income to protect what we have, built.
Yeah.
Um, and my wife and I also own a boutique co-working space. That was one of our investments that we said, it'll continue bringing in revenue even if everything else goes away. So we have it coming from multiple areas, which I think that's what you need if you want to truly build wealth. You can't put all of your eggs in one basket.
What is the coaching specifically in the real estate space or
Yes.
okay. And so you're
Yeah,
helping.
at least for now. So the model that we're going to coach on, it's called the Ultimate Success Framework, and that's to help agents, um, you know, to manage their two most valuable assets, their time and their relationships.
Mm.
And if they can manage time and relationships, they can make it in this business.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're launching initially. I do see though that there is going to be opportunity for other types of coaching to come out of it. I've written another program called X Plan, which does go beyond real estate, that helps you define your destination. What's your personal vision? What's your purpose? What were you created to do? And then how do you plan that journey? So, how do I get from where I am today using my calendar to reach my ultimate destination? And so that does extend a little bit beyond real estate, but for now we're very focused on the real estate sector.
Got you. You know, Mark, some owners view their company as their ultimate retirement plan. Every available dollar gets reinvested until the day where it's sold. Your experience already has been a little bit different in the sense that your father brought you into the business, you carried the business on. Um, but how do you view that as yourself? Some other business owners take a little bit and build their wealth separately apart from their businesses.
Right.
So how do you view that for yourself?
Well, I again, it's that whole multiple streams of income
Yeah.
is how I
Yeah.
look at it, right? I don't want to just put everything into Navex. Now, I have a lot in Navex. My son, though, is 22 years old. He's going into his last year of college. And then my hope is that he comes out next year and he'll jump into Navex, or he'll go and get experience somewhere else and then ultimately jump into the business. But I very much look at this as a legacy business. So
Got you.
my hope is that ultimately it does provide me with revenue down the road. But the beautiful thing is I love helping people so much that on the coaching side of things, I can jump in, I can coach till I'm 85 years old as long as my mind is sharp.
Absolutely.
So that's another stream of revenue that we're going to build, that will allow me to do something that I'm passionate about, still have an impact, long into my older years.
Got you. How do you think about creating liquidity or flexibility so you can choose your next chapter without being locked into the business?
That's a really great question. I probably haven't thought ahead that far. I
Fair
mean,
enough.
here's the thing. So if my money was in the market, to say, I would be a little bit more liquid, but my money is in business. and it's in real estate.
Yeah.
And so putting my money in business and real estate, I'm not as liquid as I maybe would like to be. However, the nice thing about even selling real estate is I can generate revenue. In fact, I had a broker friend of mine years ago as we were starting the brokerage, maybe a little before we started the brokerage. He said, no matter what, never give up your real estate sales business. It's the easiest money that you'll ever make. And really, it is. I mean, I know you've interviewed other realtors on here before, and other big team leaders. Um, if you know how to sell, you're always liquid. You can go out and generate revenue tomorrow. And I think because I have that, because I have relationships that I built, established, and that I maintain over the years, I can always go out and sell real estate to be liquid, no matter what the market is.
It's a very powerful position to be in. Um, there aren't many other careers where if you, and this sounds, I don't mean this to sound shallow. It's not a shallow statement, but if you need to make more money, just go out and find another client who needs the right home to fit into, and help them make that transaction. It's a very it's a very powerful position to be in, that you really could sell your way almost out of any financial position that
Right.
you're in, right?
Right. Well, honestly, my dad told me my whole life, he said, son, commission salespeople are the highest paid people in the world. And that's very true. And I tell people all the time that I believe real estate, it's one of the easiest industries in the world to jump into and make six figures in. And so for me now being established, uh, I don't have to pound the phones anymore. I don't have to knock on doors. I don't have to do all of the things that a newer agent would have to do to generate revenue. I generate revenue based on keeping up with people, hundreds and hundreds of people that I've served in the past, hundreds and hundreds of people that are on my list that are part of my sphere of influence. That every day I'm just working to build relationships with, that I have friendships with, I have a connection with, and that will always feed me. And so, yeah, I can jump in and I can go and generate that revenue. However, if you're new, if someone wants to jump into a commission sales as a newbie, someone that's going to come in, fresh start, and they want to make $100,000 a year, I think you have to go real estate, my opinion.
Fair enough. The wealthy in this country have been using life insurance as a financial tool for decades.
Yep.
What have you done, if without getting personal, but not do too detailed, but what have you done using life insurance to help continue to create that legacy, create that tax-free benefit either for your business or your family personally?
Well, let me tell you one mistake I made. My wife and I, no joke, we just had this conversation this weekend. My parents had started a life insurance, a whole life, policy on me when I was young. And when we got married, they handed us the policy and said, "Here you go. All you have to do is keep up with your payments on it, and it'll be worth so much money when you're ready to retire." Well, we were 22 years old, and that didn't mean a thing to us. We were like, "You mean we've got $2,000 just sitting here today?" And we sold it. And we were just having this conversation last weekend about the regret of doing that. Now, I don't have any whole life insurance. I really wish I had. I had opportunities to buy back in and do that when I was younger, and I never did it. So what I've always done is I carry term life insurance. I have enough now. My terms are probably up. I'm 46. My terms are up in my mid 50s, I believe. Um, but but if anything happens to me, my family's taken care of. The house would be paid off, um, debt free. Kids are through college. All of that. And then I've invested. I've made a lot of my investment in my
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah. You know, I have a similar story. I'm in the life insurance business, and
Okay.
I have a similar story. My dad turned over to me when I had graduated from college, my whole life policy, and I did the same thing. I don't think it was quite $2,000, but I think it was like $1,700.
Yeah.
And
And you
that's
feel
all.
dumb now.
Oh my gosh. And that's the business that I'm in. So yes,
Right. Yeah, and
absolutely.
how much would that $1,700 be worth today?
It could have been at least $50,000 if you'd have kept up with
Right.
it. I mean, it's It's just you don't know what you don't know, and he didn't know enough to really keep me stuck to it. So the policies that I have in place for my daughters now, they will not be doing what you and I
Yeah,
did.
right. They're not gonna know about them until you're 50.
Looking ahead, how are you thinking about the next 10 to 20 years? Not just in the business, but personally and financially?
Yeah, so, I'm starting to look ahead to the like, kids graduating from college. I've got one son that has 1 year left. My middle daughter, she just finished a 2-year program, and she's starting to look towards a career, and then I've got one left in high school. I'm starting to think, "Man, I could be into grandparent phase in the next 3, 4, 5 years. I could technically be there sooner," you know? And this is something that I've looked forward to, uh, for many, many years, you know? I wanna be, the granddad that picks his grandson up from school and goes fishing or, goes with my wife and picks up the grandkids for the weekend and sends our kids off, with their spouses on a special weekend. Whatever. We wanna be present for that next phase of life, and so everything that we're doing right now is setting up a business that will run itself so that we can enjoy that time. Also, my wife and I love to travel, and so over the last couple of years, I've been picking up speaking opportunities nationally. So, I speak in the real estate realm as a real estate educator. Um, and so my hope is that I can continue to travel and travel even at a higher rate across the country and take my wife with me places,
That's
and be
exciting.
paid, and be paid for it,
And be
you
paid
know.
for it. Yeah.
So that's the thing is that's what I'm looking forward to. I feel like when you and I get to the end of our lives and we're a fly on the wall at our funeral, no one's going to stand there and talk about how much money we made, you know, and it's about the impact we had. And so in these next many years, I mean, I could be gone tomorrow and hopefully I've made enough impact, but in the next 30, 40 years, I wanna have as much impact on my family and the future generations of my family as I can, and then on my community, on my company. I do wanna have impact on the agents within my company and in my industry, and I think, you know, setting myself up financially now so that I can just do that is really where I'm going.
I got you. And to that point, if your grandkids were listening to this 25 years from now, what's one lesson you'd want them to take away from your approach to wealth, but also the legacy that you talked about?
Yeah, I would say the one thing to take away is remember none of it is yours, right? So live your life with open hands because here's my philosophy. If I live life with open hands and I'm willing to give of what I have, then when I need something, my hands are open and I can receive it. And so, generous with what you have. And if you're generous with what you have, it will always come back to you. You'll never run out.
Agreed.
That's really my philosophy on wealth. It is.
What's a blind spot you think most successful business owners overlook when it comes to protecting their wealth?
Mm, I Well, that's a good question. Blind spot that most successful entrepreneurs overlook. I think vision. Yeah, I'm a part of a CEO group, and I sit in the room with very successful people. But I've met some very successful entrepreneurs that do not have a vision beyond themselves, right? So they are grinding it out every day as an entrepreneur without a real vision and a real plan for the next generation. And so I mean that's just one of the areas I think a lot of people struggle with vision.
I agree. What's something you know now, after what you've been through, about business or wealth that you wish you would have understood 10 years ago or 15 years ago before 2008?
That it doesn't have to be big today to be successful. I think my wife says, it's hard to tell when I'm sitting here in a studio, but I'm 6'7". I'm a very large presence when I walk into a room, and my wife says you're larger than life, and everything you do, you want it to be larger than life, and that's true. However, it doesn't have to be larger than life from day one. It's okay to go through the process and to build something great. And one of the things that I've done, I sit here and I know you've had other agents on the show that have 1,200 agents, right? And we're going to get there. But what I've done very well over the past few years is I've built a phenomenal foundation. My people that I have, that have built the systems, that have been a part of the system, that are loyal, that are committed to what we are doing, that have bought into the vision. Um, they're amazing, right? And so I have slowly been building this so that we are in a position to scale. And so I think I've had to learn over the years, it doesn't have to be big tomorrow. You don't need to get discouraged over that.
Yeah.
Just settle in where you are and be okay with where you are today. Not be content where you are today, right? I'm never satisfied, but I can be content
Right.
at 120 agents and know that we're having impact with 120 agents that we have today and we're doing it well.
Yeah, it's
But
also about being present in the moment, right? And so
right,
I was having a discussion with another guest about this, and I think it makes sense is as business owners, entrepreneurs, we're so driven for success that when we hit a mark, we spend very little time there and we're already on to the next goal, the next
right,
dream. But that's also where stress and anxiety and frustration hangs out is in the future, right?
right.
And then we also spend a lot of time in the past in the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and that's where, you know, other feelings of stress and anxiety come in. But and I'm preaching to myself as much as I am to everybody
Yeah,
else. But if we can stay present in that, um, stay focused in the present and have a an abundance mindset and a gratitude mindset, and
yep,
we'll be a lot better off, right? I mean,
right. Well, it's that contentment,
yeah,
it's being content where I am, knowing that the growth will come, right? If we continue to do the right things, the growth will come. And it kind of happened that way in my personal real estate business too, for the first 5 years I was in the business, of course, 2008 was in there, but I never cracked $100,000. And I was like, why can't I make over $100,000? Now my sales back then were a lot smaller. I mean, I'm in the greater Dayton, northern Cincinnati market, which is one of the most affordable markets in the country. So our average sale price is not like you find out in Orange County, California, or even Nashville, Tennessee. I mean, it's a more moderate sales price. But once I did hit that level, it wasn't just like hit 100,000 a year. I went from 100,000 to 200,000 to 350 to 500, And the thing was is that the whole time as I look back, the whole time what I was doing was I wasn't content all the time, right? Which now I can be because I see how it works, but I was continuing to put one foot in front of the
yeah,
other, building the next relationship, getting that next opportunity, doing a good job with that opportunity, having that opportunity lead to 2 or 3 more opportunities, and here I am today. And I know that when I look back 5 years from today on my company at 120 agents, we'll be at 500 agents because for the first 5 years, we laid the
yeah,
groundwork. Kept putting one foot in front of the other. We kept moving forward. And I think that's what you have to understand about business. And it's hard in this culture, we're in the culture where, you never heard of ChatGPT before, and then 3 days later, it's the number 1 website launch in history, right? So we hear of all these big stories and the Amazons of the world. But I think small business, there are so many success stories of people just grinding it out day by day, doing the right things day by day, and all of a sudden one day you know their name, but you don't see all the years that went in to that,
yeah.
all the
They're an
struggle.
overnight success, 15 years in the making.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, and that's what I've tried to
Yeah.
realize is we will be the overnight success, but it just takes time.
And there's a meme going around about a turkey, a turkey you would make for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And there's one on the left-hand side of the
Yeah.
screen, which is, you've seen it? It's
Oh, yeah,
completely,
the burnt on one
yes.
side.
Yeah,
Yep.
completely burned because they tried to cook it at 900 degrees in less than an hour. And then there's the beautiful, juicy, golden brown looking turkey that's done perfectly, but it took
Yep.
like 4 hours to cook at 350. And it's
Right.
like, that's a perfect metaphor for what we're talking about here is you can't rush the success. Like it's
Right.
going to take the time it's going to take, right?
Right.
Otherwise you're going to get literally burned out if you try to do
Yep.
it. Yeah, I think
Yep.
that's
That's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, and in fact, I've passed by that so many times, that same meme, I've probably seen it 10 times, and I'm hoping my phone is listening right now so I can use this in something in the future. But no, I don't think I stopped to really pay attention to that, but man, you just hit me with that, and that's good stuff.
That's awesome. What do you do to keep grounded? What's your daily habit that keeps you grounded or focused?
Well, I start my mornings I have a morning routine. I get up, I I'm not one of those people that can go straight to reading in the morning, I'll fall back asleep, so I get up, I go and exercise, get my body moving, my metabolism moving, and then I come back, get ready, and I sit down, I spend time in the Word of God every day, so I'm in the Bible every day, and that really, I feel like keeps me grounded. The time in the Word, prayer, meditation, that's really if you start your day there, then the rest of the day seems to go so much better.
Well, and it's your foundation to keeping your hands like this,
That's
right?
right.
It
That's right.
reminds you to keep your hands like that. All right.
Right.
One question. What's your guilty pleasure splurge that you'll do for yourself or like to have?
Oh, man. Okay, so, for the last, 2.5 months, I've been on the carnivore diet. So I'm kind of doing the whole gamification of my health right now and really trying I don't wanna be diabetic, my whole family's diabetic, I'm not going to be, and so I've been really, really strict with my diet over the
Uh-huh.
past few months, really the whole year, but it's been carnivore over the last couple of months. I'm an ice creamaholic.
Oh yeah.
I love ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, so we go out, we have good friends, we go out once a week with our good friends, and we go and get ice cream, and I order a large, and I enjoy every
Good for you.
moment of it,
Yeah.
right? But, yeah, that's probably my biggest guilty pleasure.
I too am an ice cream guy.
Yep,
I like to tell people a story. I went to school in North Carolina, and this is in 1997. Cell phones were here, but they weren't what we have
yep.
today. The first time it hit me that I was homesick is when I went to the grocery store and I went down the ice cream aisle. And I'm from Texas, and so we have Bluebell ice cream here.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, it's the best ice cream ever. Not Graders, not any of those others. To me, it's Bluebell. So I go down the ice cream aisle. There's Blue Bunny, there's all these others, Dryers. There's no Bluebell.
Oh,
I get
man.
home, I call my mom, and I said, "Mom, there's something wrong with the grocery store." And she's
Uh,
like, "Honey, no, you're just not in Texas anymore." And that's when I got homesick. But
that
I am
yeah.
absolutely an ice cream man just like you.
Well,
So
it doesn't Bluebell come in the, like, larger tubs too?
oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't just come
Half
in
gallons.
the Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we recently were on a trip to North Carolina and actually bought Bluebell at a
They
Publix.
have it now, but not
Yeah,
when I was there.
yeah,
Mark, your focus on real estate wealth building as well as empowering others in their careers really captions the essence of what this podcast is about is uncommon wealth. I appreciate you sharing your insights you've gained, leading your different organizations. I definitely appreciate your journey into the business, through the business. Anybody that lived and survived 2008 as a business owner in the real estate business and you're still here, you're going to make it. It's
yeah,
no question. We just gotta
right.
cook you like turkey on the right.
But I'm always cooking.
I look forward to continuing this conversation beyond the podcast and having you back on, so we can give an update to our listeners. So thank you, Mark, for joining the
A
show today.
absolutely, John. Thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.